This telescope costs less than $20, and today I'm going to try taking an image of the moon with it, which is either going to be incredibly impressive or incredibly stupid. Most people think astrophotography costs hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars, and honestly, they are not wrong. This setup, for example, costs around $4,500, and this one more than $5,000. Sure, you can start for less, but astrophotography is still a pretty expensive hobby. So I wanted to find out, can you build a working telescope for less than $20? So a big welcome to this video on my channel. My name is Felix, I'm currently 20 years old, and I had the great idea to build my own telescope for deep sky astrophotography. So first of all, I thought it would be a great idea, but after doing a bit of research, I've realized that it's more challenging than I thought in the beginning. Now, I've never built a telescope before, which is slightly concerning. But after watching multiple questionable internet tutorials at 2 a.m., I am basically an engineer now. So here's everything I bought. A lens, a focuser, a tube, and a lot of other accessories. So we are currently at less than $20. Before we start building, there's one small detail. How does a telescope actually work? So basically, a refractor telescope is actually pretty simple. The large lens at the front, called the objective lens, collects light from distant objects and focuses it into an image. Then the smaller lens at the back, the eyepiece, magnifies the image so your eye, or in this case my camera, can see it. That's basically it. Two lenses, some distance between them, and that is actually everything. So in theory, if I put these lenses in the right place, I should end up with a telescope. In theory. In practice, that's for sure a bit more challenging. After knowing which type of telescope I'd like to build, it was finally time for me to put together all of the components that I'll need. So now I'm planning to show you all of the components I bought for this specific project. So for sure, first of all, we need a tube. So I'm planning to use this one, which is just a very cheap one, but as you know, it should be a very affordable telescope, and therefore this is the greatest option I do have because it has a lot of stability, it is long enough, and it is affordable. That's the point of choosing this tube for this project. Additionally, I do also need a lens because we're building a refractor telescope. Therefore, I got this lens, which is a lens that I've used, or it's a lens that is usually built in an overhead projector. So it is a lens that I'd like to use for this project. I'm not yet sure if the quality of this lens is good enough for building a refractor telescope and using it for astrophotography, but at least that is the plan for this project. So it looks like this, and there are different holes in there where I can directly attach this lens with a screw to a wood, for example. So this is definitely the plan for me later on. So as you can see, the lens is a bit smaller than the tube. Therefore, I'm planning to, build something that I can directly attach in there. For that, I'm planning to use this wood. So I'm planning to, cut out circles, and then I'm planning to put in holes in there, I guess 3 or 4 of these, and then I'm planning to, attach the wood directly to the tube, and then I'm planning to cut another hole in the wood in order to attach the lens in there. So at least that's the plan. I really hope that this works in the end. Another component that you'll need, or that might be very helpful, is using a focuser. So I just bought this focuser. So I bought an old telescope, and I've removed this focuser, so it costs like $5 or something like that. So it's very cheap and affordable, which is perfect for this project. So I'm planning to, cut one circle out there once again, and then I'm planning to attach this focuser to the wood. The problem is, as you can see, the attachment is not flat because the focuser was attached to a Newtonian telescope. Because when using a Newtonian telescope, the focuser is attached like that. When using a refractor telescope, it's attached like that, and therefore it's not that flat, which makes it for sure quite challenging attaching this focuser to a wood like this. So I'll have to test that later on how to do that the best way in order to really attach this focuser to this tube. So this is basically everything I'll need. So there are a few other components, such as tape, for example, but these are not the very important components. So that's, first of all, everything I've planned to mention about the components. The hard part isn't actually building the telescope. The hard part is making something that works, doesn't immediately fall apart, and 3, doesn't immediately reveal that the entire budget was less than $20. Okay, first problem. I have absolutely no idea how far apart these lenses are supposed to be. So after planning to start building the telescope, I wanted to, just simply attach the lens right here and, the focuser on the other side, but it's not that easy because, as you know, I just got this lens, but I do know absolutely nothing about this lens. I do not know the focal length, for example, because the focal length is very important because in the end there has to be a specific distance between the lens and the focuser on this side. So there is a point where we are achieving focus, and we have to achieve this specific length, and that is essential when planning to achieve sharp images. Therefore, the first step for me was to really check out the distance where I am achieving focus, so the distance I have to use. So therefore, I have a lens like this, so it's an eyepiece that I've attached, directly to the focuser, like this, which is very important because then I can look through the eyepiece and check when we are achieving focus, and that is the length this tube should have in the end. After spending multiple hours on building the telescope, I finally had all the parts I needed to mount both the focuser and the objective lens. And surprisingly, nothing had exploded yet. So now let's go over to the next step of building my telescope. So I've now prepared the two pieces I do need for attaching the focuser and the lens to the main telescope in the end. So that took me like 2 hours right now to build these two ones. I've not expected that it might take that long, but it actually took 2 hours for me. So I need to have now two of them. Both of them do fit perfectly directly here in the tube. So this one is for the focuser. So I'd like to attach the focuser right here. As I've mentioned, I might have some challenges with attaching the focuser because the focuser, so the end is not flat, which might make it a bit more challenging attaching the focuser to this adapter. This is the second one, which is for the lens. So I do also have the lens right here next to me. So the lens directly fits in there. So you can see, here we go. So now the lens is already attached to the adapter. So it looks very, very good. And so as you can see, I do have these three attachments here for screws. So the next step is drilling holes into this wood in order to fix the lens to this adapter even better. So as you can see, it is quite secure right now already, but I'm definitely planning to do that because I guess that's a good idea. So then the plan is to directly attach that one here at the front, so it looks very good as you can see. I'm also planning to build a dew shield here at the front in order to protect the telescope from dew, but this is a step I'd like to show you later on. So as I've mentioned, these are the two adapters. I'm planning to attach them, so one here at the front and this one right here in the end. So this will be where the focuser will be. So the next step for me is to check the focal length of this lens, which means I'm planning to attach this adapter right here at the front. Then I'm planning to look through the eyepiece, and then I'm planning to change the distance between the lens and the eyepiece in order to check the distance where I'm achieving focus, and that will be the point where the focuser should be in the end. So that's very essential because when using the tube as it is right now, it might be that the focus will be exactly right here, but if the focuser is attached right here, I'm not achieving focus. So this will be the step that is very important. So I've already checked that a few days ago, and it seems like the focal length is in the range of 350 millimeters. So it's not a lot, but I guess it's enough for capturing the moon or galaxies or deep scale objects. So I do also own a 2 times Barlow lens, which means the focal length might be in the range of, let's say, 700 millimeters, which is great for a lot of objects. So in some future videos, I'm planning to, capture galaxies with this telescope, for example. On this video, I can hopefully capture the moon in the end. So I just wanted to give you a short update on the different components. So I've now painted the main tube. It looks like this right now, and I've also attached the lens to the adapter I've mentioned earlier. So it looks quite well. I've attached it right here to the lens, so I can directly attach that one to the tube. The next component is this one, which is basically the focuser. So I've attached the focuser to the other adapter, and now basically everything I have to do is basically bringing all of these different components together, and then I'm planning to do a few upgrades to this specific telescope, and then I'm planning to finally share the final telescope with you. Now it was finally time putting together all of the single parts and hopefully end up with an actual working telescope. And with that, I can finally present my final telescope. Finally, I put together all of the components, and you have to believe me, that was one of the best parts of making this YouTube video, finally putting together all of the components. So, as you can see, it looks like a telescope. So I'm now planning to really introduce the telescope to you, talking a bit about the components and things that you have to consider when planning to do that yourself. So let me bring it a bit closer. So I'd like to start from the back of the telescope. So here we go. So as you can see, I've attached the focuser right at the back of the telescope. Let me bring it a bit closer. So here we go. So I've attached the focuser right at the back of this telescope. The problem was that this focuser was built for a Newtonian telescope. Therefore, as you might have noticed in the course of this video, the back of the focuser was not flat, it was like this. And therefore it was very challenging for me to attach it to a flat plate. So as you can see, I've attached it like here. So right here there was a lot of space, and I've used a glue to really make this possible. So as you can see, I've attached the focuser quite well right here. I've attached it with glue on every side, and additionally I've used screws, so 1, 2 and 3, in order to really fix that one to the tube, because perhaps I'm planning to attach a dedicated astrophotography camera, so a cooled one, to this telescope in one of the next videos. So definitely make sure to subscribe to my channel so that you're not missing these future videos. So I have a lot of crazy ideas or challenges for these telescopes. I'm planning to attach my cooled dedicated astrophotography camera that costs more than $1,000 to a $20 telescope. Additionally, I'm planning to capture planets, all of that stuff, star clusters, galaxies. So if you're interested in that, definitely make sure to subscribe to this channel, because a lot of crazy content will follow in the next time, that's for sure. So as you can see, I can adjust the focus with this one. Here we go. So that was a somehow challenging part, because you know the focus changes with the different eyepieces, or when adding a Barlow lens or a smartphone. All of that stuff is something you have to consider. Therefore, it was important for me to, you know, reach the focus in the middle of the focuser, so not at the very, so not here and not out here. And generally speaking, I try to achieve focus relatively close to the telescope, because it is a very cheap focuser, and when attaching a 1 kilogram camera, you know, this is not a good idea. Therefore, I wanted to have the focus right here, so that there's more stability on the focuser. So that is something that was very important for me, definitely. So I've attached a 9mm eyepiece, I guess, which is quite well, so you can definitely see objects through this system. Now let's go over to this one. So I've attached this adapter right here that allows me to attach that one to the tripod, but that also helps me to attaching that one to the Skywatcher HQ Pro Go-To mount, which is the mount that you can see right now. So I can definitely do a bit of deep sky imaging with this telescope in the next time, and I guess this will be even more challenging or interesting than photographing the moon in this video. So a lot of crazy content will follow soon, definitely. So let's go over to the lens itself. Here we go. So here in the inside you can now see the lens. So I've fixed the lens with 3 screws. So in the very beginning, I made this adapter that helps me to attach the lens to the adapter. I've painted everything black in order to have less light in there, so less reflection. I've put it in there. As you can see, I've not put it, also when using the telescope like that, I've mounted the lens right here, not here. That's because I wanted to have this effect of reducing dew when it comes to astrophotography. So especially these refractor telescopes do have challenges with dew. So which means in winters, for example, or that might be challenging, so that you might get dew on the lens, and therefore I wanted to really bring the lens a bit right here in order to really prevent dew from building up on the lens. Additionally, I've attached this dew shield right here in the front, which is this blue one, that improve this effect even further. So hopefully I'm not having any dew on this lens in these long cold winter nights. Right now it's summer, so that might not be that challenging, but generally speaking, I guess this blue part also has a positive impact on the optical aspect, I guess. So because this tube is a bit larger compared to this one, which has more this effect of how a telescope actually looks when buying it on the internet, for example. So as you can see, not a lot of structures are visible on this, or the design is not that good right now. So if you have any ideas for the design of this telescope, let me know down below in the comments, and then I'm designing this telescope the way you would like to. Another thing I have to do is attaching the plate with all of my channel members. So in the next few videos with this telescope, you can definitely see your name on this plate if you are a member of this channel. So at this time, I'd like to thank everyone out there who is a member of my channel, who is making projects like this one possible. Thank you so much. Your support really means a lot to me. So if you would like to have your name on the telescope as well, feel free to become a member of my channel. That also has some advantages for you. So depending on the stage of the membership, you'll get additional videos, additional content such as additional posts, updates on videos, and generally speaking, different informations that not everyone gets. So a lot of advantages for you, and you'll also get the videos before the upload. Since I promised at the beginning of this video that we would try photographing the moon, it was finally time to test my homemade telescope under the night sky. Hello everyone, it is finally time for me to test my telescope tonight. So I've already prepared everything. I've mounted the telescope on a normal tripod, as you can see. So I've attached this small adapter down there, which allows me to attach the main telescope to the tripod itself. So later on, or in a couple of minutes, I'm planning to attach a smartphone adapter right there, so between the focuser and the eyepiece, in order to be able to capture the moon now. So I've already looked through the scope, so it seems like I am achieving focus with this telescope. So that should work with the smartphone as well. So I'm planning to attach the smartphone right at the back of the telescope. So this is definitely the plan for tonight. So I'm planning to capture multiple videos, and then I'm planning to stack them in order to hopefully capture the moon later on. So you can see the final video in a few seconds. As I finished setting up the telescope and started trying to focus it, I was pretty excited about the view I might get. I had absolutely no idea what to expect. Would the optics actually work, or had I just spent multiple days on building a very expensive tube? The answer was about to reveal itself. And when I finally saw the moon, I was pretty surprised. That night I managed to capture this video of the moon with my telescope that costs less than $20. Now, the image isn't very sharp, so NASA probably isn't calling me anytime soon. But the fact that I managed to photograph the moon with a telescope I built myself using a lens from an old overhead projector for less than $20 is honestly kind of amazing. Even so, I'm very impressed that you can actually make out some of the moon's larger craters. And for less than $20, I'll take that as a win. I think people sometimes assume you need expensive equipment to start learning about space. But really, you just need curiosity, a little creativity, and maybe an unhealthy amount of tape. In the next time, I'm planning to make a few crazy projects with this telescope. So I'm planning to paint the telescope the way you would like to. I'm hopefully giving this telescope a name, and I'm making a few upgrades to this telescope, so upgrades that you wish for. And furthermore, I'm planning to do a few amazing projects with this telescope, such as attaching my cooled dedicated astrophotography camera to that one that costs more than $1,000. I'm planning to capture galaxies, star clusters, and other deep sky objects, so definitely make sure subscribing to my channel. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe, because next time I might try making an even better version, or accidentally set something on fire. Honestly, both are possible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.